It's been 5 years since I've had the basal joint CMC surgery on this hand, right in this joint. And people ask me all the time, all right, a few years have gone by. What's the update? What's going on with your hand? I'm going to tell you in this video. Hi, I'm GloryB, and this is GloryB-TV, a lifestyle channel for mature women who want to look fabulous, feel amazing, and age gracefully. Well, CMC surgery and problems with that joint affect more women than men, and more women over 40 than under 40, but men still get it too. I get comments from men all the time, and people want to know, okay, it's been a while now since you've done a video and told us an update. How is your hand doing? I had the surgery in the fall of 2017. It's now spring of 2023, so it's been a while. And I chose some questions that have been in the comments, plus a few other things I want to tell you. And no, I haven't had the right hand done yet. And I moved, so I'm not even near my surgeon and my occupational therapy center. So yeah, that's kind of disappointing. I wish things had worked out so I could have had the same surgeon do that hand with the weeks of occupational therapy afterward, but I didn't. So here we are. And does this other hand hurt sometimes? The dominant hand that hasn't been done yet? Yes, sometimes it hurts. Like right now, it's starting to hurt. It knows I'm talking about it. But my left hand, where I had the surgery, never hurts. So that's the good news. Now, what I want to do is get right to the questions first, and then I'm going to do some add-ons for some things that I thought, you know what, there's some things that I haven't talked about in any of the videos before, and I thought, you know, if I were going to have this surgery, I want to know. Okay, so let's get to the first question. How is your left hand doing? Did the scars go away? Does your hand get swollen when you overuse it? Can you lift weights? So my left hand's doing pretty well, I think. And the scar, I'm going to show you a close-up video or photo. I think the scar is barely noticeable. You know, it's just a line that if I look at it, I can see it, but I don't think anyone would glance down at my hand and go, oh, look at that, she's got a scar in her hand. And it doesn't have those Frankenstein scar marks. It's just one line. And then even, I didn't even think about taking a picture of the forearm one where they took out the tendon somewhere right around here. It's just hardly a mark. I have other scars on my hand from getting scratched by something that are a lot more noticeable. So her next question, does your hand get swollen when you overuse it? No, my hand has never swelled since shortly after surgery. Can you lift weights? Yes. In fact, I started lifting a kettlebell way too soon while I was in the middle of going to occupational therapy, and it did mess up my hand and slow down the progress. So while I was in occupational therapy, I had to add another month because I should not have picked up the weights that soon. But yeah, I lift whatever weights I want. Next person. I'm having this done in a month. I appreciate your videos. My job, I sit at a computer and type and use my mouse all day long. I'm concerned how much time I'll be off work until I can use my dominant hand using mouse and keyboard all day. I also travel a lot for work and concerned about handling my luggage. I also wanted to mention, for getting my hair done, my local Paul Mitchell school has a VIP program, and I pay $7 a month, and I got unlimited hair wash and style for free, or for that $7. Well, I wish I had known that. I remember calling around, and the one local beauty school I called charged $20 or so to wash and dry my hair, and they didn't have a VIP program like that. So when I looked up the Paul Mitchell School online, it did say that all of the local schools are independently owned. I don't know if it's considered a franchise, but perhaps the owner of her local Paul Mitchell School set up this program. $7 a month. That's just amazing. She could go there as many times as she wanted. She could go every day and get her hair washed and dried, depending on what time they open. So yeah, that would have been nice. Okay, So on to the other questions, the keyboard. Now, I was using a keyboard pretty quickly because, and you'll see in the photos and in my earlier videos, not just photos, but actual video, the first bandage is pretty big, but my fingers were free. So pretty quickly I was typing, and sometimes I'll read comments from people on my videos and they'll say, I just had this surgery 2 days ago. Well, obviously you're typing something to me, either on a phone or on a keyboard on a computer. So whether they're using their one hand or both hands, I don't know. But I was using both hands. But the second question about using the mouse, I don't know, because I didn't have my dominant hand done yet. So that's going to be hard depending on the mouse and how hard you have to press down. But I did have my fingers free. So for 2 weeks, I had that huge bandage. Then the bandage was removed and I had the cast put on, but my fingers were still free. Now, sometimes when I was at the job I had at the time and I was in IT, I hated being in IT. I will never be in IT again. Now I see why people hate people in IT. I love my users, but the bosses were just horrible, unethical human beings. Anyway, I digress. But typing a lot was hard for a time. If I was just doing a little bit here and there, it was fine. Then I had to rest. And then, of course, after the 2 weeks in the cast, then I was in the custom splint, and my fingers were still free. But you need to pace yourself with the typing. And yeah, so hopefully you have somebody who's understanding, who you work with. The next question she had was about traveling. So I would have a concern about handling luggage as well. You can't do all that with one hand, one good hand, and have the other hand going. So, you know, obviously in the beginning, you'll be in bandage, then cast, and then splint. Most people, it's that order. You'll see some comments from people where the doctor put it in a different order, but wear the splint, because even when I got to the point where I could take the splint off, sometimes I put it on because I thought, if I fall down in this parking lot, if I fall down while walking the dog, and I did fall down while walking the dog once, I had that brace on. And, you know, you need to protect your hand at all times. So walking through the airport, wear the brace. Even if you're longer past surgery day and, you know, you feel like you don't need it, put it on anyway. So here's what I'd suggest. And in the description box below, you got to open the description box, click or tap more to open it. I'll have 2 articles that I found about asking for help, both when you book your ticket. Well, after you book your ticket, call the airline, have them look up your ticket, and have them put notes on there. And I would suggest asking for a cart, not the wheelchair, but the cart, because in the cart, they can take your luggage. And then one of them had all kinds of suggestions for when you arrive at the airport. Tell a porter that you have, you know, they said exactly what to say because you're going to need help right away. So get help from the airline, get it put into your record for your ticket that you're going to need assistance. And from the time you get there, this article says it gives you, you know, a little pat on the back and to stand up for yourself and what to say to ask for help. So obviously you'll have both legs working. You can walk, but that doesn't mean that you're completely mobile. Okay. So this is going to help you know how to ask for help and what to ask for. Now on to the next question. I'm glad that you made these videos. I'm a clarinet player and I really need full functionality in my thumb, but it's getting very painful to play. So here's a dumb question. Is your thumb any shorter? Not a dumb question. None of these questions are dumb. I can understand why no, my thumb is not shorter. It's the exact same length. Next question. Okay, I just had to put this in here. This is just funny. Oh my gosh. He says, my old finger broke from the ankle 4 months ago. Now it doesn't move from the ankle. It has become very hard. What can I do? You see my response. You had an old finger by your ankle? Wait, something's really wrong. His question has nothing to do with CMC basal joint surgery. Okay, it was just funny. Next question. Did your doctor say you'll be able to put your hand completely flat at some point soon? My doctor said nothing about that, but I brought a couple things. I brought a book. I don't know which, this might shine too much. Here, I can put my hand flat, right? This is a clipboard. That's kind of shiny. How about a book? I can put my hand completely flat. Oops, you can't see my thumb, can you? I can put my hand completely flat. But that, I don't think it was always that way. I had to work with the occupational therapist to get there. Question 6, about how long was it before you could keep the brace off when you sleep? And I thought, well, I think it was 2 or 3 months. But I wore it at night anyway because I didn't want to roll over onto my hand in the middle of the night without realizing what I was doing. Now, in my videos I showed, in the earlier videos for this whole playlist, how I propped up pillows to make sure that I slept on my back and I didn't roll to the side and I kept my arm elevated, and that's how I made sure I slept on my back. But normally, you know, once the emergency, it's not an emergency, but once I didn't need to elevate my hand, I didn't have those pillows on the side. So then how would I keep myself from rolling over on my side while I'm sleeping? I can't. So I wore the brace. I just did, because I just felt better doing that. And I took another pillow, another standard pillow, and just put my arm around it and held on to it. And that way it wasn't awkward. It didn't keep me awake, so that was good. So that's the end of the question, but let me tell you about some things that I still struggle with. So the first is, well, they're all kind of pinching motions. So one thing I've had a hard time with sometimes is a skirt hanger, like doing these. This one I can do, but you know, I have to hold this with the other hand and make sure it's stable. You know, the right hand I can do, the right hand, the one I haven't had surgery on, I can do easily. But this one, and sometimes I'm at a store and pulling something off the rack, and these are really hard to do. So that, you know, I don't avoid it. Whenever I can, I exercise it because I need to, practice the pinching motion, right? So that's still difficult. The other thing that I found was difficult a couple weeks ago. So I was using my camera, the one I'm using to film, and I can take pictures with it. But to do it remotely, I need a remote, which Canon makes this cool little remote. And with the right hand, I can just flick it down and press it, and it's no problem. But I switched because I had my hand on the mouse, and I had this one, I had it in my left hand. And I'm like, why can't I turn my hand like I can with my right? Here, I can go like this, you see? But I can't do that with the left. Well, then I realized, okay, you just can't do that. But the remote still worked when I pointed it up. I didn't have to have it pointing at the camera. So that was good. But that was a weird thing. I couldn't turn it all the way. And it didn't hurt. It's just I couldn't do it. I'm looking at my hand. My brain is telling my hand, do this, and it just wouldn't do that. So that was strange. Light switches that are really tight, I have a really hard time with. Oh my gosh. And then opening jars can be hard. I once learned from Rachel Ray to turn over like a spaghetti saucer, a wide jar, flip it over onto the counter and bang it a couple times on the counter, and usually that'll loosen it. One of my pairs of pliers, I have several in the house. I keep one in here in the studio because to attach or actually loosen my camera from the tripod, the thing is just too tight. And even though I'm the one who tightened it, I can't untighten it. So I have to use the pliers. I have another set of these in the kitchen. It's not even in the utensil drawer, it's in the silverware drawer. Best pair of tools you will use in the kitchen. I've used them to open smaller bottle caps, you know, that are like the size of a $50. And I just open them real big and do it. And if these aren't big enough, I have a pair of channel locks under the sink in the kitchen. And I've used those to open things when the pliers are too small. Best tool ever. And yeah, I had to buy more because I took them out of the toolboxes, and then I didn't have any in the toolbox. The other thing that I just found out a couple days ago, it was so hard for me to do. My dog is taking some pills now, and they're scored in the middle, and they have to be broken in half. Oh my gosh. I'm just looking at my hands going, what? Why can't I do this? This is crazy. I can't open on this. It took me forever, and I thought, well, I'll just take a sharp knife on the cutting board and I'll just cut that score. Made a mess. So I have to work at it and work at it and work at it with my two thumbs and fingers to break apart the pill. Ugh. Holding onto something tightly can be difficult. I drop things all the time. Before I had the surgery I still do. I drop stuff. One time I was at Aldi and I was buying so many things that they sell, they put on a really high shelf. And then I go on their customer service and I'm like, will you lower this, please? It was the unsweetened almond milk, and they have it on the top shelf. And they had some extras, so someone at the store had popped those on top. Yeah, or something like that. And I pulled one down, and I think I pulled it with my right hand, and I dropped it. And it was all over it just broke. Ugh, it was a mess. And the other thing that really bugs me is when a cashier hands me change. I use cash as much as possible. And when they hand me back my change, they'll often go paper and receipt and coin right on top. And I look at it and I'm like, you know, I don't even know what to do with this. I know I'm going to drop it. I'm just going to, yeah, coins are going to go all over. So what I prefer is that they hand me the coin first. Coin. I'll put the coin in my wallet. Then give me the paper money. I'll put the paper money in. Then give me the receipt. That I can do, and I won't drop. But yeah, paper money with receipt and then coin on top, it's all going down. And I just, because my hands are just not going to do what my brain tells it to do. So it's not 100%. Okay. And the other thing is, it's got this weird little thing. I think I don't know if I did B-roll. Yeah, I did. So this is the hand where I had the surgery. Right in here, this little spot. Oops, this little spot. So the shape of the hand is a little different. Like this tends to stick out, but the doctor told me that's not a big deal. It's not painful. It's not stopping me from doing anything. So it just moves a little bit differently. And yeah, that's kind of weird, but it doesn't hurt and it's not in the way. It's just different. Now, here's the thing, the keys to a successful hand surgery for this type of surgery. Number one is finding a great orthopedic hand surgeon who's skilled at this surgery. Get referrals, talk to people. Second, having an occupational therapist who specializes in the hand, the wrist, and the forearm. Okay, fingers. And this occupational therapist, usually it's a woman, but they're the person who makes the custom brace for you to exactly fit your hand. After the cast is removed, you want to see the occupational therapist twice a week until you're out of pain and you can do all the tasks that you need to do. So I'm talking about your regular activities, work activities, stuff at home, plus your hobbies. Okay, so you cannot recover properly without working with an occupational therapist twice a week until you're done. When I told my hand surgeon that I'm getting comments from people saying their surgeon doesn't have anybody for them to go to occupational therapist wise, and he was dumbfounded. He's like, that's an essential part of the whole healing process and getting back to your life. So I suggested that he write white papers about it and speak at conferences of orthopedic surgeons and say, you've got to provide this for people If you don't have it in your clinic, then find somebody locally who you can send your patients to. So your work, whatever tasks regard your work, your everyday tasks at home, your hobbies. It might be playing an instrument. It might be crocheting or knitting or sewing. It might be working on your car and real intricate type of work. Any number of things that require the use of your hands, whether it's your occupation that you get paid for or something that you enjoy. You need to be able to do those things without pain. That's the goal of the surgery and the occupational therapy. All right. So if you haven't checked out all of my other videos, I can link 2 of them at the end of this video on the right side of your screen. The rest will be listed in the description box below, and I'll probably link a couple of them in a pinned comment, and I'll see you in the next video.